Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Spiritual Nomad podcast and YouTube channel. My name's Luke. Thank you for joining me here again today. Today, I want to talk just a little bit about how matter changes in accordance with energy. I really want to talk about how when we begin to live the spiritual life, when we begin to pursue this pathway of living in union with the transcendent, with the divine, how that shifts and changes everything in our life. And how literally the landscape of our life begins to take a different view. It takes a different shape. We begin to experience life differently. Our friendships begin to change. Our work begins to change. Everything in our life begins to be transformed according to the pattern of this divine perfect order. As we begin to live in union in the vibration of the divine, in this flow of energy, it begins to change matter around us, our actual physicality, how we actually live, what is in our life, the things that we do, the things that we give our attention to, the lives that we lead, the relationships we have. Again, all of these things begin to change in accordance, as we live in accordance to this perfect divine pattern, as we live in union with God. And so today, just want to invite you into seeing your life through that lens and seeing potentially some of the things that are being shaken off of you right now, some of the things that you're maybe from a certain vantage point losing, actually seeing that as an incredible gain. Because what happens is whenever you begin to live in this particular way, when you begin to live in union with the divine, there will be seasons where things are shaken off of you, where things are pried from you. And we live in this season of time, we go through seasons of time where the dial is being changed from the station on a radio or an old TV. Think about that for a minute, as the picture is clear on the TV, but then it begins to shift to another station. There's static that comes on the screen as you are changing to a new channel. And so when you begin to live in tune, you begin to shift into a different channel and things become staticky. Sometimes things can have some friction. Sometimes it looks like you're losing it. I'm losing that picture. I'm losing that image. Yes, because you are moving into a new image. You're moving into a new channel. You're moving into a new chapter and season because you are shifting that energy. You're shifting the frequency to a different reality. And so things in your reality that you're used to, that you're familiar with, will begin to change in accordance with the newness that you are walking into, the path that you are walking down. And so again, sometimes it can be frustrating. It can be very difficult because sometimes this looks like a loss of a job or a loss of a friendship or an estranged relationship, with a family member. Sometimes this looks like a lot of turmoil and friction even still in your workplace. Or maybe this looks like just a lot of things that are happening in your life that are just, you're witnessing just tension and friction and all of these things that seemingly look really bad and look really fragmented. But these things are all just evidence of something new that's emerging, a changing into a new channel, a changing into a new image. And so the test is, as you begin to live in pattern, as you begin to live in flow, and the material reality begins to shift, and relationships begin to shift, and your work begins to shift, and the way that you even interact with people at the grocery store begins to shift, what you have to begin to walk into and live out and embody is the art of surrender. Because what happens in these moments of time, whenever our material world is being shifted by the spiritual world, when matter is being changed by energy, when physicality is being changed by the metaphysical reality, we can sometimes cling to the images that we are most familiar with. And so we cling to those friends that we feel like we're losing. We cling to that job that is threatening to fire us. We cling to these relationships to bring comfort and security instead of walking in faith and risk into the unknown of this new channel. As things begin to become static, as things begin to become friction in the changing of channels, we can sometimes hold to the image that we see, but the divine is inviting you into the image that is unseen. The divine is inviting you into the unknown. The charismatic tradition I come from, this guy John Wimber said, faith is spelled R-I-S-K. It's having the faith to walk into the risk of the unknown of where you're being invited. Because you're living in tune, you're living in union, you're on this path of spiritual awakening, you're on this journey of enlightenment, and things around you begin to shift and change. Here is the test, if you will. Will you continue to cling to what is known, to what is seen, to what is expected, or will you release into the fullness of what is wanting to happen on that next channel if you just begin to let go of what is known for what is unknown and believe that there is goodness waiting for you on this path? That this is a path of goodness. This is a path of, quote, righteousness. This actual definition of righteousness means to live in accordance with. That's what righteousness means. To live in righteousness is to live in accordance with the divine universal presence of God that seeks only goodness to manifest and flow in and through your life. And so to do that, to walk into that, sometimes that means letting go of images. And sometimes images are dear friends. Sometimes images are things that we have come to expect or to know. Maybe it's your living situation. Maybe it's a particular income. Maybe it's, this particular lifestyle that you try to portray on Instagram, and all of that's changing and shifting. You have to be able to allow that image to be let go so that you can embrace the fullness of the next reality that wants to exist in your incarnation. And the longer that we hold on to these images from the previous channel, the longer we will live in that in-between state of static. And so the quicker that we can learn and develop the art of surrender, we can be fully free to live into the fullness of whatever is the invitation at hand. And so what I want to submit to you today is that if there are things that are preventing you from walking into the fullness of the invitation, into the next evolution of your incarnation, my invitation to you today is yield and surrender. It's the only way to move out of that static zone. It's the only way to move out of the friction zone, is to surrender and let go of the known, to fully live into and embody who you are as you are gently and by goodness invited into the unknown. To know that there is beauty waiting for you, and that this friction and static is not evidence that you're moving in the wrong direction. I grew up in the Christian tradition, still a part of the Christian tradition in more of the fringe ways of the mystic and contemplative sections, but we fear the unknown because we think that these things that are bad, they look like they're bad. They look like they're bad that's happening. We say, well, that's a sign that that's not the right pathway. Oh, well, if you are, having discomfort with people in the church, you're having discomfort with people in your small group, well, that's a sign that you're off track, that you're going astray, that you're a backslider, and you need to be brought back and assimilated into the group. No, that's just friction telling you you're evolving from that place, and it's time to go into a more expanded space. It's time to go into a bigger container. That's what that's evidence of. Friction is not evidence necessarily that you're moving in the wrong direction. Friction is only helping refine what that is that needs to be released so that we can live into the fullness of the next channel. That's what friction is. That's what static is. That's what uncertainty and things that are unclear are. That's what they present. They present an invitation to live into the fullness of the next channel with grace and with surrender for ourselves, for everyone around us. And so sometimes this means being really honest with yourself and with those around you. This hits home. It's a personal personal thing right now as I feel a new chapter is at hand. Not to mention too, if you're not using the Pattern app, I highly recommend using the Pattern app. No, this is not sponsored by the Pattern, but I highly recommend it. The Pattern will take your birth chart, your astrological birth chart, and show you different seasons or chapters that you might be going through. And part of mine is a new chapter right now, and I'm feeling that reality. I'm feeling old patterns, old narratives, old relationships being shaken off of me right now. And I'm not even seeking it. I'm not even going looking for it. I'm just fully embodying me. I'm fully embodying my true self. And what happens is energetically, vibrationally, things cannot coexist that are not in harmony with each other. It's in discord. And so they fall away. And what we are invited into is to live in harmony and union with our true self, with the divine, and allow whatever manifests from that to be. And so right now, there's some friendships that are experiencing some friction and some static within them. And I have to make a choice to surrender to those and say, potentially, this may be a friendship that is not to be continued in the new chapter. And I have to surrender to the image of that dear friend. Because the reality is, people come and people go in our life. And I believe that we are to be a 5-star hotel for people, not necessarily a home for people. We can only find home within us. We cannot find home within another. We cannot find home within comforts. We can't find home anywhere else. We have to find home within us. And when we find home within us, we no longer have to be a home for anyone else or search for home in anyone else. We can be a 5-star hotel. And what I mean by that is people come, and when they experience the stay with you, it's as pleasant, as comforting as possible. But when it's time to check out, it's time to check out. And now we have to do that gracefully. Sometimes we can move on from people quickly. I have a tendency to do that. My type is to just cut people out of my life if I feel like there's a energetic thing that isn't living in harmony. I'm just like, okay, move on, and I just go on. But I've been learning to not do that whenever the physical reality is changing in accordance to the spiritual, energetic reality. I'm learning to make that shift with grace. I'm learning to turn the dial to the next channel just with consistent motion, not a sharp turn, not a quick turn, but just it begins to turn, things are in static, and gently turn into the new channel. I'm learning how to do that because at the end of a hotel stay, the worst thing is if you had a great stay and then the hotel says, get your shit and go, right? Like you want to have a gentle exit for whenever that is. But just know this, there is a time that every image in your life will check in and will check out. Every person, every comfort, every image, every expression, every manifestation, everything in the physical reality will check in and check out at some point in time. And we want to welcome things in, and we also want to bless them as they go. Welcome in and bless as they go. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's a job, if it's a friendship, if it's a relationship, whatever it might be. It could be if you have attachments to material things, vehicles, whatever it might be, you welcome it as it is. You hold life with an open hand, and you only find home, true home within you, and you become this place. That way, whenever you know things are going to shift in the material, you know that things are going to be moving in different directions. You know that you will only watch a channel for a period of time until it's time to turn the next channel. When that show is over, you change to the next channel. Whenever I was a kid and I was watching Nickelodeon, I was born in '89, so I'm a 90s kid growing up. My wife likes to remind me that I was only in the 80s for 2 months. And I try to tell everybody I'm an 80s baby. And I was, but I'm not an 80s kid. I'm a 90s kid. And when you're watching Nickelodeon and when that show is over, when Rocket Power is done, you change to the next channel or the next program comes on. And they do that in this graceful way by ending the show, having some commercials, and the next thing comes on. That's what happens in our life. If you know that the programs, the shows, if you will, the chapters, the seasons, whatever that you want to call it and name it, that it will come and it will go. You learn the art of welcoming and blessing and holding it open and not clinging to the image that you're seeing. Our kids today, they don't know. They binge watch. They'll watch all the seasons of Rocket Power, whatever. When I was a kid, you don't do that. You're excited whenever the show comes on, and then you live in expectation for whenever the next show comes again. And that's just how you live. And I think that's a better way to understand how our material, our physical reality is transformed by the metaphysical, how energy changes matter, because then now you aren't living to please, or you're not living to uphold any sort of image. You are gracefully, fully embodied in yourself. You are walking on the path towards transcendence, towards awakening. And that becomes the main thing that is driving your life. Now, I know that obviously in spirituality, we're not looking at things that, quote, drive our life. That's not the point, but you're open, you're surrendered to all the things and all the seasons and all of the stuff that God wants to do and bring into your life and then move out. And you become this open conduit of just grace and peace, home within yourself, so that as you embody greater the energy of the divine, as you embody greater the Spirit of God in you, God manifests and brings things into your life that are in accordance with the proper set and setting for who you are in this season. And people will come and people will go, and things will come and things will go, and projects will come and projects will go, and clients will come and clients will go. And know that when they go, don't cling to that material manifestation. We will only cause ourselves more friction. We will only cause more heartache, and it will keep you in this place of learning it. And until you fully learn it, it will keep coming, and it will keep being a reality, and it will keep being heartbreaking. But now things aren't heartbreaking. We honor every channel that we've been on, and we honor the static as we move into the next one. And we live with awe and wonder for the next reality, next manifestation of reality to come into existence. And everything then becomes nothing but beauty and grace. And we navigate with such humility then, because we know we can't control any of it. We are surrendered to the energetic flow of the divine perfect order that I call the kingdom of God, this 5D reality, the fifth dimension perfection that is in our midst if we have eyes to see and ears to hear and bodies to engage that, and to pull heaven into earth, to change from the heavenly into the earth realm, into the world realm. We have the invitation to do that, and we're able to do that now with humility and with love and with full acceptance for however the material wants to change around us in accordance to the divine perfect order. That's all for today, friends. Thank you for joining me here, and please subscribe, leave a comment, share this with a friend. Join me on social media. Instagram, TikTok is pretty much my main go-to, and we'll see you on the next video. Grace and peace. Love you very much.